Welcome to the Dowdem Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG, and today we are going to talk about why you need to start setting boundaries and putting yourself first when it comes to certain situations and people in your life. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. That way you don't miss any weekly episodes and posts. You can find video of this episode strictly on YouTube, but the audio everywhere else. Now, when it comes to just setting those boundaries and putting yourself first, it definitely isn't one of the easiest things out there. And it can be very difficult when you are going through these situations right then and there. But you have to understand that when you go through these things, setting these boundaries and putting yourself first is crucial for not only your mental health, but your physical. Because let's say you do put yourself first, you now see opportunity to grow. You can now take time for yourself. And if you go and set those boundaries, you now can stop, the distractions or things that are making you uncomfortable because you spoke up about it. So, when it comes to just setting those boundaries overall, whether it's with work, school, relationships, whatever it is, the whole purpose of that boundary is to just make sure it benefits you. If you're going through a situation, it's bringing you anxiety, it's bringing you stress, you're hanging out with this wrong group of crowd and it's not going to take you anywhere, make those boundaries. So be it. If at work, let's say you're doing a whole bunch of overtime, okay? You're not getting paid as much as everybody else. You might then have to make a boundary. You might then have to say no. You have to put yourself first because at the end of the day, you need to do what is best for you. So understand that setting boundaries doesn't make you mean or a selfish person. It doesn't make you this and that. No, setting boundaries just means that you want to take care of yourself. You're tired of the nonsense. You're tired of doing this and that. You're tired of not being able to grow as a person because you're being held down by these certain situations. Hence why you need to go and set these boundaries. So don't go and sit there and be like, you know what? I feel bad because I'm now not talking to this group of people. No, you're not talking to that group of people because what they're doing is not what you want to do in the future. It's not what's going to help you get to those goals or dreams. If you want to be a growing entrepreneur like I did, then you don't need to go hang out in the streets and do crazy stuff. That's not going to help you reach those dreams. You have to set boundaries. So don't let these things get to you. You're not being mean. You're not being selfish. You're not being fake. You're just doing what's best for you. And when it comes to just putting yourself first, if you really think about it, these boundaries and putting yourself first go hand in hand. Because if you don't put yourself first, you don't realize, hey, you know what? Maybe this is too much. Maybe I do need to take a step back. You're then not going to be able to make those boundaries because you don't see what's going on, because you don't see you need to make that change, because you don't see that, hey, you need to get out of this certain situation and go try something else. You have to put yourself first when it comes to anything in order to not only grow, but to just be healthy in general. Also, when you put yourself first, it's going to let you find you. You're really going to be able to see who you are because now you're not worried about everybody's life. You're not worried about everybody's problems. You don't care what Stephanie did 10 minutes ago or what happened at class down the hall 3 hours ago. You don't care because you're just focused on you. You don't care what happened at work. You don't care about this. You don't care about that because you're just living your life. You're putting yourself first. You're taking care of your problems. You're taking care of your situations. You're striving for those dreams and you're doing what you want to do. At the end of the day, that is what we should all be doing anyway. Don't live for other people because, as cheesy as it sounds, you only do live once. You only have one shot at a life. So you can either be original, be you to the fullest, and let people hate anyway, or you can try and be somebody else and fake it. You need to be you. You need to take care of yourself. You need to put yourself first. You need to prioritize your mental and physical health. Start taking care of yourself. Start setting boundaries because that really is the only true way you are going to grow and get yourself out of these certain things. So, setting those real boundaries and really just putting yourself first truly can change your life as long as you take that first step. It changed mine. Hell, forever I was sitting there. You know what? It probably wouldn't do anything if I did this. It probably wouldn't do anything if I went here. But damn it, it changed my entire life because I took that first step, because I put myself first and I set those boundaries. So don't let people tell you you can't do it because you can do anything. You just have to actually take control and go and take that first step. But with that said, today's quote is by Simon Sinek. He once said, "Putting yourself first is not selfish, quite the opposite. You must put your happiness and health first before you can be of help to anyone else." I appreciate you tuning in. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And this is the Dowdham Podcasts.